So in this video, we're going to talk about BSE India. We're going to talk about the buyback. We're going to talk about the buyback which has been recently announced. And also, as we are learning in each videos, I want to make sure I talk about what, why, warning signs, red flags of the buyback so you get a better understanding of everything what you need to know about buyback. We're going to talk about the company itself, the business model, some of the interesting stuff I'm guaranteeing that you will not know about it. And we're going to talk about some buyback details as well. And at the end, we're going to look at the technical analysis from long-term chart perspective, medium-term chart perspective. I don't do trade dated, so I can't talk about that. And I'll share with you some of my trades, my view on buy and sell, my view on the buyback itself. But before we progress, I want to make sure it's a clear disclaimer. I am not a SEBI registered advisor. Do consider your advisor before making any decision. I'm sharing here for education and entertainment purposes, however you want to take it. So let's get started. So before, let's look at the, let me share first. Let's go and look at the, let me, yeah, arrange my map. Yeah. So let's look at what is buyback. Okay. So what is buyback is, as you know, the company issues the number of shares, right? And that number of shares is called issuance of number of shares which are available. And some shares are held by the promoters, some are held in the public, which we call it float. Now the time has come, the company want to reduce the number of shares. It's like having a pizza and you want to divide the pizza into multiple pieces and distribute among your friends. And if you have less number of friends you want to share, you reduce the number of pieces of the pizza. It's like that. So now company want to reduce the number of shares, and how they do it and why they do it. So they do this because they want to consolidate the ownership of the number of shares so that the small number of people will have the ownership of the company. Another reason being returning the money to the shareholder because the company is generating a lot of cash and they want to return it back to the shareholder and reward them. And lastly, they might think that the stock is undervalued from whatever it's currently trading at. So these are some of the reasons for why. Now you have to look at some of the warning sign when you're analyzing company in the buybacks, right? Because it's a very normal practice to do the buybacks to reward the shareholders and various this corporate action. But you also have to think from the other lenses. What is other lens? There's no new ideas the company can use that particular money to basically have a value accretive or EPS accretive business model. So that's why company says, hey, I can't do anything about this cash. I want to return it back. So that is one of the warning signs you have to start analyzing from that lens. And secondly, companies doing this for just to boost the EPS and share price and not having a real reason. Because when I say EPS, earning per share, because if you reduce the number of shares from which company is making, the EPS will be bumped up. So when you next time check the financial analysis, you want to check whether the earning per share has come from actual revenue, top line, bottom line growth, or it is coming from just because company is doing a buyback. So will help you understanding the business model. And the share price, as I said, from the long-term perspective, share price is the slave of earnings. But sometimes many investors, they don't go through the financial analysis and they just buy it based on price action, so they might not know. And we here at Peaceful Weekend Investing, we blend both of them. So it is important for you to know. So now let's look at some of the red flags. Some of the red flag could be you look at what is the compensation of the management. Is compensation of the management is based on earning growth, earning per share growth. So that could be one of the red flag. They might be using their debt to buy back, which is like a big red flag because they are actually borrowing the money and borrowing at 8-10% and returning it back to the shareholders, which is like you basically not running a business. Business is nothing but you are trying to capital generating machine, or basically it adds a value accretive and generates the profit out of that. And if they are just taking the money from the bank and doing a buyback, which is kind of not a good sign. And that's the two red flags you want to look at it. Now let's look at some of the details about the company. The buyback itself, let's look at what is the buyback details. So the company is trying to buy back 3.39% of total equity shares. Now, this is a total percent of share they want to reduce from the float. Start date, end date has not yet been decided. So that's something which will come to know. And if you're connected here, I'll keep sharing those details. And company has come up with the price of 816 rupees 816, which is like 15.4% from the last traded price, which I got from internet. So we'll look at it in technical analysis as well. So that's some of the buyback details, but more you can read through from the company website, or it is on the NSE exchange because it's not listed in BSE. Now let's look at the business model, right? So I have got some details of the business model. We'll look at the financial details later. Again, a clear disclaimer. And again, as I know some of you guys have mentioned that I go a bit slow, I request you to watch this video in 1.5x speed so that you get better value. I apologize in advance because this video will be a bit longer because I want to cover more in detail. It's all about investing. So those who are interested in watching till the end will get benefited. I'm apologize, I can't make the short videos because these things takes time, and for us this is very important. So first thing first, you what is interesting to note here is that India market is now matured micro cap, I call it, right? Because as you can see, India is the fifth largest market in the world with $3.4 trillion market cap, and the US is 46.5, which is, I call it, a mother of all market or father or large cap. China is 10.2, which I think is kind of sitting as mid cap. Japan is mid cap, and Hong Kong, India, I think all can be considered, micro cap. Again, this is my classification, so don't hold me for that, right? So, but I will in future we're going to see this becoming a mid cap and then eventually large cap. Hopefully, at least in my lifetime. So let's go further. These are some of the details I got from the BSE investor presentation. And what is important in this view is to understand what are different businesses within the BSE Limited, which is very important because you will come to know about. Let me get my pen. Hopefully, this time it works. If not, so as you can see here, CDSL is part ownership. So BSE has CDSL. What is important for me is this, and you can go through at your own. You can pause the video and watch all the other businesses. And what caught my attention is they have a CDSL holding, which I also have CDSL. Clear disclaimer, and we talk about that. Other thing which we'll be talking about the technologies, so they kind of building all the different platforms as well. So you can look into that. And what is important is India International Exchange Limited, which is Gift City, which is also very important because in India you can start buying some of the Googles, Amazon, so they can get listed here. So that's a new era we're going in, which they have almost like 61.93 holding. So which is something I want to highlight from this ownership here. So as a consolidated view, so always look at the consolidated view of earning, not the overall view. So this is very important. Now moving on, let me see what's there. Yeah. So one of the things which probably is important for you to know is the BSE Star Mutual Fund platform, which is coming, which is one of the, I would say, optionality or one of the dark horses of the part of it, because they have built this platform for distributors, retail investors, mutual fund registers, so they can have a distribution platform, pan India based reach and coverage, which I think is very important because this is a IP, this is a platform which they are building. So you can keep an eye on this. And let's look at it. What other things I wanted to share? 1 minute, hold a sec. Yeah, there's one more thing. Yeah. So this is BSE at a glance, right? If you look at it here, what do we have? So their market cap, their registered investors, what is equity cash, fund mobilized, SME which are listed, which is important, 430, startups which are listed, which is 14, insurance premium. So they have an insurance platform. So they have insurance premium, which is distributors, which is there, which is also important for you to know. They have 74,713 mutual fund distributors. And what kind of transactions they are making, as I said, this is one of the optionalities here. How many mutual funds have registered? How many members are there? So this is a kind of a glance which probably will get you some understanding of that. Now moving on, I talked about the start, so that's fine. Now let's look at some of the growth drivers of the company. So as I mentioned to you, some of the growth drivers which company also is looking at would probably add value in coming days is international exchange, and I am also very bullish on this particular point. What are different trading segments they have brought in? So they have got different trading segments which they are bringing in, mutual fund, and they're kind of building the platform for the IPOs, buy, offer to buys and all that. So this is kind of areas which they are looking at the growth drivers for that. Because as you know, NSE has more volume than BSE, but then BSE has some of the other benefits which they are trying to build as part of their modes. Now, this is a beautiful slide. Probably this will sum up very nicely what they consider a red ocean business and what you call it a blue ocean business, where I think they have a market leadership position, right? And this is, as you can see, NSE is very strong in equity derivative. Let me grab other things. So an equity cash. So NSE is kind of leader in this. So they have only 7.2%. Equity derivatives, largely the leadership is with NSE. Currency derivative, they have 14% market share. Interest derivatives, debt listing, company securities. So this is their red ocean businesses where they think they have established leader in listing business. Now, where they are focusing on is blue ocean businesses, which is clearly articulated here, is SME. So they want to build this as one of the SME platforms, BSE Bond, Star MF, I said mutual fund distribution, and India International Exchange, which is they have 92.4% holding. So this is where they have blue ocean businesses. So please keep that in mind because this is something you have to do further study. Again, I just want to give you a gist of it. I'm 100% sure that you would have got value from here. If you are able to get the value from this, please do write down in the comment box below what value you got it. And if you want to consider subscribing this channel, I will be coming out with the regular videos. And that way, at least you get a better perspective of your investing. Thank you. So let's move on to our next part, which is also important for you to understand who are holding this company, right? Which is a shareholding pattern for the company. And what was interesting for me while I was looking at it is life insurance, again, that is 5.59. Zerodha is holding 3.7% of the company, which is very, very interesting for me to know that. And so this is the individual holding. Siddharth Balachan as Gopalakrishnan, I'm not aware. Jupiter India Fund, MSP Vanguard Emerging Stock Market Index Fund is holding 0.6%. And then you got few of the others. Poonawalla Construction is holding 0.5. So this is also important for you to know who all holding. But Zerodha is holding 3.7%, which was some of my finding here, which I'm sharing with you. All right. Now coming to the interesting part about the technical analysis and my trade. So before that, I want to just share with you what was my trade was looking like, which I was looking at it. Again, honestly, when I look at the price action was looking very bullish in this counter, and before even the price was announced for buyback, and I'll show you that. This was my trade. So I kind of did the trade at 30th March I was holding. So I had the holding on that before that. And then 27th of April, I had a one purchase at 522.5. And then on 31st May, I also added some more in 558.95. So these were some of the transactions. So whatever I'm sharing with you is based on my own experience here. But before we jump into it, let's look at some of the financials of it. Financials were not very impressive, and I don't see this as a growth company at this point. But future probably might be beautiful in terms of international exchange and also with the Star MF and the other distributions they have. But the EPS growth was very muted, most of which the growth came in from the overall. I think it is mainly because of the operating leverage because of the platform business. As you can see here, company had EPS of 2.24 and corresponding quarter in December they had 3.01. So which kind of tells that there was very muted growth. And also overall, if you look at the earning growths was quite not as par with what I would expect. So just wanted to bring this perspective for you as well before you can make any some euro perspective there. So let's look at the technical part of it. Let me share my screen on the technical side of it. Just give me a minute. So first of all, we look at it from the monthly point of view because I want to see this as let me delete this. Yeah. So these were the two trades which I took. And if you look at it, what is the overall price trend looks like from the monthly point of view? So each candle is like 1 month. Okay, so that keep that in mind. When I'm recording this video, it's you know 9th of July 2023, so you get a better picture of that. So if you look at it, this is like kind of one of the area which there has a nice basing, which have basically the whole company underperformed ever since from the listing date, which was in 2007. This is on the BSE 2017, and after that there was a big rally in terms of the stock made 150% from completing the base. But what is important for you to note here is look at the size of the candles here, right? Let me just okay, so that's also gone, so that's fine. Could do that. Okay, I'll delete it individually so that way it's easier because I want to talk about something on the price as well, which I bought it. Why did I buy that? Okay, so great. So when I was talking about it, look at the volume bars down below when and the body of this candle, right? Which is important for you to know. The body, the after this turnaround, which is like 92 rupees, and the dividend yield would have been amazing at this point. Ever since that, some smart investors started accumulating here, and then accumulation completely happened. So this was a completely what is stage two of the company, and then from stage two it went into stage three, and then it's a stage four, and now again some kind of stage without even going into kind of stage two, it's moving towards the stage four kind of category, which is going on, which is kind of normal. But what I want to take away from this analysis is when the trend is changing on a bigger chart time frame, you have to look at it what's happening on the weekly time frame. Now I'm moving to weekly frame time frame, and you get a better picture here where if you know Dow theory it is looking at it ever since this was the time where it completely had a change of the trend, and ever since it's making higher highs and moving it before it went crashing down, and the volume bars telling you that at the start, not at the peak, okay, when it was a big candle made. No, I'm not talking about this, is kind of more of an distribution in my opinion, because such a big candle with big bar, which means there's a last leg of rally. For me, I will not enter there. What is the time I'll be interested in? I'll be more interested in the time when it's coming out of the base and trying to make a new higher high. And that's where you want to enjoy this part of the rally because that's where most of the meat is. And whenever you see this is having a big bar, that is where I think it's all media hype and all has been made. And then it came crashing down and now it's moving up. When I was looking at it, it came in my radar. And this is a time when I kind of made two trades which I showed you just now. One was at the, and you can see how beautifully it started making. One was at 512.50, which is like from this candle, and then after that coming out for this four candle break, and then I added one more. And but what is important for you to also note is that the volume were increasing way before. If I go into daily candle now, somebody had a view about that the buyback will be of the big price. That's where you see before even announcement you were having some kind of price action here which was telling that there's something positive coming. And that's where after it went up, and especially this one, I couldn't get a chance to enter. I wanted to enter one more, but I didn't get a chance. But it went way far very quickly. As soon as it opened, it was like a solid candle, so I kind of didn't got a chance to enter. So that's kind of my view. So my view on this particular thing is, now that buyback has been announced and there is a gap, I will be tendering my share. I don't think so I'll get big, I will not get a much of an opportunity here, um, to tender my shares, because there'll be most of the people will be offering their shares for in a tendering process, because the share is in tender process, which means they will send you the application to full, and those who hold it at particular record date, they will be offered, and there will be a ratio which will announced based on the how many shares have come overall from the overall size of the buyback. So I don't think so that there's much of an opportunity to give all of my shares, and there'll be few shares which will be accepted, which will be very small. But overall, am I holding it? I'll be holding it for a while to see if that this gap can be filled. But again, since the price trend is positive, so I'll be holding it. I'll not be adding any more, but I'll be holding it for getting maximum juice out of this whole thing. And if it starts moving in my direction because of the optionalities which I mentioned, I might think of adding more depending on the price action as well. Because now that news is out of the way, I have to see and follow through buying is coming or not. So that will be my take on this. So I hope you like and enjoyed the video and you got a lot of value out of it. If you got the value, do consider subscribing my channel and hit the notification bell, because I'll be coming up with more videos so that you get benefited from the my journey as well. Until the next video, I like to say goodbye. Thank you. Bye bye.